Alright, so I got my panel in here. I've got my fuses and breakers in. You can see, hopefully you can see that. There's a 30 amp breaker that comes in from the outside and 2 tandem breakers for all my inside circuits and the AC. And then I also have my fuses in. So that's how it comes. I've got my everything screwed into place. So, and then I do have a switch panel up top just put in just to make sure it fit, but it's got some USBs and it's got a little voltmeter there as well. So I'm going to be wiring in my inlet, cutting in from the outside, putting in the 30 amp RV style inlet. And I was going to put it underneath here, but the problem is on the outside is the diamond steel and I don't really want to cut through that, so I have a good flat surface. So I think what I'm going to do is end up going through the outside underneath here, and which will be totally out of the way, and we'll run underneath and then over, and then I'll run it probably above so you can't see it. Alright, so the inlet calls for a 2 7/8 hole saw, and I only have a 2 1/2. And I shopped around a little bit and I couldn't find anything with a 2 7/8. So I'm gonna roll with this and hope for the best. I might have to do a little bit of cutting around with some tin snips, but inside is just insulation, so it should be just fine. So here we go. So I got the metal out here. Cool. It's a little hot. All right, through the insulation. That was obviously super easy. So I'll get the inlet and see how that goes. Alright, so the inlet comes with these 2 pieces. This looks like an outer jacket here, or something that would maybe help some of the water stay out of it. And obviously it does not fit, but the inlet itself does. Now I'm noticing this is kind of wobbly and I'm not liking that at all. So I'm going to have to go in and reinforce it from the back and then go from there. And once I reinforce it, I believe I should be able to screw this in just fine. It's got a gasket all the way around it. Not sure yet if I'm going to cut this out. It should be easy enough to cut, so I probably will just to be safe. Alright, so I've gotten this out. I'm not going to show you all that because I'm embarrassed how I did it, but I got the wood chewed out there, and this is a nice, good, snug fit. Fits in there real nice. So, and the screws that came with this were too short. They would go through the metal, but they were not going to go all the way back to the wood support that I have to strengthen this up. So I drilled these out just ever so slightly. And then I had a couple of these flathead white screws that I was going to use because the other ones they gave me are too short. But they had like a little built-in washer on the head. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I had to grind them down so that when this closed, it didn't interfere with it at all. So I'm going to run my wire through, hook these wires up, and then fish this back through and tighten it down. Should be good. Alright, so inside you can see where I put this board in for support. It's screwed into the stud and some pocket hole screws in the bottom and the top. So it's definitely super sturdy and not going anywhere. So now I'll run my 12 gauge wire through and wire it up. Alright, so I'm going to do that again. I did fish it through this clamp on the back side of the receptacle. I'm not 100% sure if that's going to work yet, but we're going to give it a shot. And I'm just tightening everything back up again. Black to black, which is our hot. Again, making sure there's no exposed, nothing exposed. I'm using solid wire, which I like better. All right, let's see if I can fish this through. I'm not loving that, but it's definitely going to be good and tight. In the wrong way. It's square, so it doesn't matter, but turn it around the right way. All right. Definitely good and snug. Definitely got quite a bit of support. Make sure it's good and square. All right. Oh yeah, that thing's good and snug now. Oh yeah, that thing is very sturdy now and it latches nice. I love it. Looks great. I'm getting ready to run this power through, and it's going to go over to the underside of the cabinet and then on over to the power center. So first I got to get through, I'm going to kind of drill at an angle down below, and it's going to go down right along the edge of the floor and under there, probably up on top and then over to the power center. But right now I need to focus on getting it through, and this will all be hidden behind a piece of trim when I'm done. All right, so the smart thing would have been to do this before, but obviously I didn't plan on this, so I'm trying to get the wire through, and there it is. So I'm gonna feed it all the way through. All right, this one should just go, oh, there's a stud there. So I'm gonna have to drill this one as well. All right, so got that one through. All right, it's very tight, so I'm not gonna make you guys watch this whole thing. All right, this is gonna be a little tough to do in such a tight space, but you can see my yellow wire here. Here's my 12 gauge wire coming in to the power from the shore power. And this white, green, and black wire are energizing and running the DC side of the panel. So I've already installed my breakers. First you have your, on this side, you have your neutral bus bar and your ground bus bar. And then on this side you got your breakers. So I put in these square Ds. It has several different kinds you can use, but I went with square D just because I'm familiar with them. The first one is your 30 amp, your shore power. And then I put two tandem 20s in for different circuits. Now, I'm definitely not probably going to use all of those, but I don't know, I just went ahead and bought them. They weren't very expensive, so. And so the first one This is my main. This will actually power these other 2 breakers, but 4 circuits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate my wires here. And you can pull this out. Actually, let me pull it out and I'll show you. All right, so you can pull these breakers out. They just snap in and out. These will all come out. So this one already has from the DC power, but they just fit right in there. And on the back side, you can see, not sure how well you can see that, but they got a little slot that fits into the panel. They stick a little bit when they're new here. There it goes. Get in there nice and tight. So while I have this one out, it's a 30 amp breaker there. I'm going to go ahead and wire it in there. So I'm going to put my black. Wrong screwdriver. All right. Now I recommend obviously not being hooked up while you're doing this. My trailer's not plugged in at the moment. And I snap it right in there. So this also has a little retention, like a little block here that helps hold this in. So I'm going to put that back in. I assume it's so in case it doesn't shake around or anything. You got to make sure it's straight. There we go. All right, so I got my hot wire. And I'm going to put my ground over there. And I'm going to run my neutral wire up into the bus bar. And then the ground as well. All right. I just push all those back out of the way because I'll be doing other things in there. But so right now my panel is wired in, and I already have the hot for the switch panel up top wired in. I did that a little while ago, just temporarily. I'll move this over here. We can kind of see back here. Hopefully, it's kind of a mess at the moment. But you can see these different wires for the DC circuits. And I did install a neutral bus bar there, you can see at the top. So the hot is already wired in, like I showed you before. So I'm going to go ahead and wire this neutral in. Again, this is just for my switch panel up top. Which right now is just for lights. That's all I have wired up at the moment. All right. I like to keep those tucked out of the way. These are all of my circuits for later. What the red are for? I believe they're for the battery chargers. At the moment, I'm not going to have a battery, so I got to get the paperwork out to figure out. But all these black are my DC circuits. And again, I'm definitely no expert by any means, but I've done enough house wiring and stuff. I'm comfortable with what I'm doing. So, all right, so it should be juiced up now. I'm hooked up to the shore power inside the barn here. Kick this on, kick that on. You can see the panel light up, the DC side of the panel. So we do have juice. And then up top, you can also see my switch panels is on, showing the voltage, and the lights are on. So we're definitely getting there. I have some minor circuits to hook up. I'm going to hook up some fans. That's what this one's for, but I don't have anything else. I think I'm going to do an outdoor light. I think I'm definitely going to add that. But other than that, we're good. So the last thing I want to say is that I'm not an electrician. I definitely don't claim to know everything about electricity. A lot of the stuff I've just researched online, like my wire gauges and different things like that. I went overkill on everything. I didn't want to have, you know, stuff popping or getting hot or anything like that. So I definitely went over, and I'm kind of learning as I go, which is kind of what this whole project is about. So if you got any questions or comments, constructive, I'd definitely love to hear from you. But I think I'm definitely good to go. I definitely have at least 3 open circuits at the moment. Not sure exactly what I'm going to use those for. One of them is definitely going to be at the top, where we're going to run like coffee pots and maybe a fan at night or whatever. So we'll see, or a TV or a small like little entertainment center. We don't know yet, but I appreciate you following along. Thanks.